One more time, everyone, for the Artesian Rumble Orchestra. Wow, it is so wonderful to see all of you here at Convocation. Convocation is the calling together. calling together of a community. And we are all here today to celebrate the beginning of a new academic year. I want to start first by having you join me in recognizing the Board of Trustees of the Evergreen State College, my bosses. There are 7 of our citizens that are here today with us from around the state, appointed by the governor, who have fiduciary responsibility for the direction and the mission of this institution. And they are extraordinary individuals, alums and longtime friends of this college that have a deep love for the Evergreen State College. They have the responsibility of making sure that the mission of this institution is safeguarded, that we grow and are nurtured appropriately, and that our learning community continues to grow and to strengthen. Let me start first with the chair of the board, Keith Kessler from Hoquiam. Keith, please be recognized. Fred Goldberg from Olympia. Dr. Irene Gonzalez from Spokane. David McAndry from Tumwater. Ann Prophet, an alumna from Whidbey Island. Gretchen Sorensen, an alumna from Seattle. Gretchen. And Nicholas Wooten, our student trustee. Hey! We are called together to welcome new members to our community. And we have a number of new faculty and staff that are with us today. Would our new faculty and staff please stand up so we can welcome you? Please stand. Best of all, I want to welcome the students. You are why we are here. Would you please stand and let us welcome you here to the college? Please. The energy and the excitement that you bring to this room is really a rare thing. This convening moment gives us a rare opportunity to reflect on the year and for the students to begin a very important process of beginning to meet new friends, new faculty, and to get that first sense of what this community is about. The idea of community you will hear a lot about during orientation and throughout the year. And I've had the privilege for 14 years to be a part of this extraordinary community. And some of you have heard me say that what I love the most about what we aspire to at Evergreen is, 1, putting our students at the center of their education, and 2, reinforcing the idea of cooperation as opposed to competition, collaboration, and the strength that we get from working together, from learning about our own strengths. Our mission is grounded in the idea of the public call for education, and that is that in this democracy, every individual, regardless of their circumstance, should have an opportunity to enter the halls of higher education, to learn and to become strong and to well-educated and to contribute to this democracy. Everything about the Evergreen State College is based on that kind of idea. It's based on the idea of what we talk about in this country about social justice and equity, about open acceptance to difference, and about the obligation that we have not only to do well in our profession, but to also recognize that we have a keen responsibility to our community when we leave this place and while we are here. And I hope that starting with this day, all of our new students will take that to heart in whatever class you become engaged in and through the years here at the Evergreen State College. Because you all are the future of this democracy. And if the principles and the mission of the Evergreen State College leaves this institution with you, our democracy can only become healthier and healthier. Because I don't have to tell you that we face formidable issues internationally and nationally that seem to never go away, to recycle. And it's only through people that have a love of people and a concern about our institutions in a way that are people-based can we overcome those conflicts, everyone. So I have high hopes for you. I think you're going to find with our marvelous faculty and our marvelous staff that this will be a journey of a lifetime for you. So I say, go Gooey Ducks. I'm pleased this morning to introduce the leader of our academic programs, Dr. Michael Zimmerman, the Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost. Please welcome Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. That's good. What a wonderful way to begin a new academic year. It's fabulous to welcome back so many faculty and staff members. And it's equally exciting, perhaps even more exciting, to see so many new students and new colleagues with us here this morning. One of the best things about a convocation is the opportunity it provides for so many different people filling such a range of roles on campus, to come together to celebrate the start of a new academic year. As Les said, we are a community. We work together, we often play together, we celebrate together, and occasionally we grieve together. What keeps us together, the bond that ties us to one another, is our shared belief that education is a powerful tool for social transformation. This transformation can occur both at the individual level, as we grow and as we learn, and within our communities, as we reach out and attempt to make the world a better place for those with whom we live and work. We are a community. Indeed, we are a very special type of community. Yes, we have a shared belief that education is a powerful tool for social transformation. And central to this belief and to our shared work and vision here at Evergreen is the perspective that every voice matters. Your education and your experiences have shaped a unique perspective. And sharing that perspective, sharing your insights, is incredibly important. It enriches our collective exploration and examination of the critical issues of our time. Yes, every voice matters, but how each of those voices is presented is absolutely critical. Are your opinions well supported by data? Are they well informed by a close textual analysis? Do they arise from reasoned discourse? Or are they simply a rehashing of things others have said? Are they shared respectfully and open to alteration, or are they rigidly asserted, brooking no modification? In your daily life here at Evergreen and beyond, let your voice be heard. Share your opinions, but be certain that you can support those opinions. Continually challenge yourself to understand why you believe what you believe. This is what meaningful education and meaningful discourse is all about. Do this, and you'll have the power to transform yourself and those around you. But it's not all just about you. In a community, especially in a community where every voice matters, it's every bit as much about us as it is about you. That means that the ideas of your colleagues are just as important as your ideas. And this means that each of us has a responsibility to develop an additional set of skills if we're to participate fully in a community of this sort. We have to learn to pay attention, to listen to one another, to really hear what others are saying, to closely consider the implications of what our colleagues are saying. We must be open to ideas that seem alien to our own, that might contradict what we believe. Please don't misunderstand me, though. We shouldn't feel an obligation to accept those ideas as our own. Rather, we should be open to the possibility that feeling perfectly comfortable pushing back against them, pushing back with facts, with close reading of texts, and with reasoned, well-articulated arguments. Collectively, we need to develop the ability to talk with one another, not simply at one another. This basic premise is at the core of Evergreen's pedagogy. This basic premise is, after all, what our seminar model is all about. Seminars and the learning that takes place within them are as rich as each of you make them. Participate fully, generously share your ideas, listen carefully and respectfully. Let your voices and the voices of your colleagues be heard, and the educational experience will be rich, challenging, and worthwhile. Let me touch on one other critical facet of the Evergreen experience. Without majors and without grades, without any specific course requirements, Evergreen students have an enormous amount of freedom. But as is always the case, great freedom comes with great responsibility. You can abuse that freedom by denying your academic choices the care and consideration they deserve. You can abuse that freedom by opting to avoid subjects that make you uncomfortable or about which you know nothing right now. If you do that, you'll not be taking advantage of the best Evergreen has to offer. Evergreen's faculty and staff trust you, all of our students, to be adults, and that means we trust you to make intentional academic choices. We trust you to explore uncomfortable ideas, and we trust you to find your individual passion. Of course, we'll help you do all of this. One of the most productive ways we can help you with this is via our newest graduation requirement. You'll be required, absolutely required, to think about the academic choices you've made and those you still have to make. We will require you each year to write an essay about that thinking. This essay, your academic statement, will encourage you to reflect carefully on what you've accomplished and help you focus on where you want to go. The final version of this academic statement will become the first document in your final Evergreen transcript when you graduate. And thus, you'll be able to present your Evergreen education to all in a manner that best explains the educational journey you've been on. While you may not perceive it in this manner right now, the academic statement is truly a gift that the faculty have given each and every one of you. It's the gift of personal reflection, something done all too infrequently. But it's up to you to use that gift wisely, to shape it as you see fit. As with everything at Evergreen, you are in control of it. Faculty will advise you about your statement, but they will not approve it. It is, after all, your academic statement. Yes, all of this is hard work. Crafting a personalized education for a lifetime is hard work, but it's hard work that can be amazingly rewarding. The academic statement is a way for you to tell your story to the world, a way for others to more fully understand you, and equally important, for you to understand yourself. But hard work need not be divorced from fun, and both that hard work and fun begins this morning with a presentation by the author of Crow Planet, and then with small seminar groups with faculty and student colleagues. As you've seen in Crow Planet, there's great reason to pay attention to the world around you, from various parts of the Evergreen community you've just entered, to the natural ecosystem, which we are all a part of. And as you've seen, each part of the community is important. As I'm urging you to find your voice, it's a pleasure to introduce another voice to you. I'm hoping that this introduction might reflect the birth of a new Evergreen tradition, having a student do the introductions when we have a major speaker on campus, and today we certainly have a major speaker on campus. Therefore, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Nick Wooten. Nick is an Evergreen senior who, as you saw a couple of minutes ago, is also serving as a member of the Evergreen Board of Trustees. He has been a campus leader, and he's initiated projects that have made Evergreen a better and more interesting place. In addition to working intensively to bring permaculture to Evergreen, he has played a major role on the Clean Energy Committee, and just this past year shepherded a large proposal through a successful student vote, the result of which will make it likely that more students in more ways will be introduced to issues of sustainability. We all collectively owe a debt of gratitude to Nick for all the work he's done. Nick perfectly exemplifies how one voice can make a difference in a community. Please join me in welcoming Nick Wooten to the stage.
Hello. I would like to take a minute to thank you all for coming here. It's an honor to see so many faces, all of which are new to me, to feel the excitement and to speak to you today. In the next few minutes, we will hear from Lyanda Lynn Haupt, author of Crow Planet, which many of us read this summer, as well as The Urban Bestiary, Pilgrim of the Great Bird Continent, and Rare Encounters with Ordinary Birds. I hope that you are as excited as I am to share this experience together. And I do want to thank you for being here again. At the Evergreen State College, we pride ourselves on linking theory to practice. Our interdisciplinary approach to education has taught us to view the world through a lot of different lenses. As we welcome this new generation, you, to Evergreen, I am reminded of the journey which is unique to the life of a student. Crow Planet described in rich detail the observation of the process of discovery. I hope that you bring with you a strong desire to pay attention to the world which is around you while you're here at Evergreen. It is with special excitement that I am pleased to welcome Lyanda Lynn Haupt to our annual Convocation gathering. Lyanda is an award-winning author, speaker, and naturalist based in Seattle. Her writings are at the forefront of connecting people with the natural world in their everyday lives, something that many of you will take the time to accomplish here while you're at Evergreen. For those of you who aren't already so inclined, I would like to encourage you to take moments, however brief, out of your life to interact and observe the world around you, the world which all of you are very much a part of. Lyanda has been published and written about many times over. Her writing has appeared in Utne, the LA Times, Open Spaces, Huffington Post, and Conservation Biology Journal, just to name a few. Over the course of her life, she has worked with the natural world in a variety of ways, just to make a living. Lyanda has created and directed educational programs for Seattle Audubon Society, worked in raptor rehabilitation in Vermont, and been a seabird researcher for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in the remote tropical Pacific. She had also spoke at TEDx, and if you haven't seen her TEDx talk already, I do recommend that you look it up. In this delightful talk, she discusses the experiences of trying to connect with nature. She discussed pushing the boundaries of what an office can look like, making her office outside. She speaks of using fingerless gloves and using fireplaces to stay warm and umbrellas to stay out of the northwest rain, and all of the distractions that come along with trying to spend so much time outside. There is this moment where she talks about seeing 100 turkey vultures flying through the sky on their migratory path, a moment she would have missed if she hadn't have looked up at that exact moment. You see, turkey vultures only migrate through one time a year, and most of us, we miss these moments. Our world is full of the unexpected, everyday moments that make life so easy, that make life so important. Lyanda's work in Crow Planet weave together the lessons of naturalism and dedicated observation of not only our surroundings and those we share our surroundings with, but of our lives. As she stitched together the story of crow life, and especially the story of crows growing from fledgling to adult, I could not help but be reminded of what life is like here, on this campus, as we all undertake our education in an often chaotic and wild world. Crow Planet is not only a book that describes the life of crows, it is a book which discusses the journey of purposeful observation, a journey I hope you're all here to undertake. Have you ever wondered what you're missing out on as you travel through life, or how you can connect more deeply with the world? Have you ever seized the opportunity to watch the natural world around you unfold? Lyanda is going to demystify the acts of observation and naturalism for us today, giving us ideas and insights we can use to reflect on our year here this year. Please welcome me and join me in welcoming Lyanda Lynn Haupt.
I have all kinds of things here to get in order. Thank you, Nick, for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. I am truly thrilled and grateful to be celebrating with you here today. I want to thank everyone who took time with the book. Especially, I want to thank the faculty, the Mentor Council who chose the book and who oversees your academic statement. But really, thank you, everyone. I have brought, before I start prattling on in English too much, there's really an echo. Are you guys aware of the, you are, okay. Before I start prattling on in English too much, I have brought my crow call. And if you read the book, you know something about the crow call, right? And so I have been practicing the assembly call, which seemed perfect for this gathering, a convocation. But again, if you read the book, you know that it actually works, that the assembly call makes crows assemble. So we should make sure that the doors and windows are closed, okay? And, you know, if you need to duck. Okay, crow assembly call. So to the best of my ability, welcome and congratulations in crow language. So I want to start with a kind of a quiet little story from my backyard. So I've been thinking about what I wanted to say today ever since I knew I was going to be coming here, which was, you know, almost a year ago, I think. But it was just a few weeks ago that I decided to start kind of forging the minutia. And so I did what I always do when I face a creative task or project. The first thing I did was took my big piece of paper. It's kids' paper that you can get in the kids' art section, like at Target or something that they, you know, use crayons on. And I always start with that and my big box of 50 markers of every single different color. And I love to just, when I'm not sure how things are going to fit together, I write, just dump it all out on the big piece of paper, and then in different colors, you know, cross out what is, you know, it's clear that shouldn't be there, and connect the things that go together, and see how it all filters down. And it really helps me, and I highly recommend this to you. For one thing, not only does it help, but it's fun, and you get to trick your mind into think that you're playing because you have markers. So I start with that, and then I did the other thing that I always do when I face a creative project, which, as Nick mentioned, I go outside. I took my paper and my markers outside. And I absolutely feel that we have become too limited in our sense of what a workspace should look like. It almost always involves, a four-cornered desk and a four-walled room. And we have that mindset that once we finish whatever it is we have to do, we focus on it, we get it done, then we get to go outside as a reward. And I think, why? Why do it that way? When we can be outside so much more often with a little effort and a little imagination and gain the benefits of the inspiration that we find there. We are lifted out of that inward and downward inertia into a place that's more creative. I remember 1,000 years ago when I was in college, a few times professors, and I hope it's more often for you here, I remember the few times that the professors would invite us outside to have, it was a sunny day and we'd have the seminar in the grass, and I would fall into that kind of sleepy, kind of nappish feeling that you can get on a warm day. And that might seem counterproductive, but again, even though it was 1,000 years ago, those are the days that I remember so clearly, that I remember not just that we were in the grass and what book we were discussing, but what I was thinking and what I said out loud and what other people said. So somehow it entered this, layer of knowing. Okay, so there I am outside with my big paper, and I'm overlooking on my desk, still thinking about this talk, which is about to start, overlooking my garden, which this year was more than anything a forest of sunflowers. And I usually have a really productive vegetable garden, but I knew that there was so much going on in my life and some kind of hard things this year that I wouldn't have time to tend it like I wanted it, like I would like to. And so I still planted a bunch of stuff, but behind it I planted about 50 sunflowers. It's beautiful. And it worked just like I thought it would. I thought you would walk through the garden gate, and instead of the tangled, messy garden, you would see just this profusion of yellow, just flagrant beauty, and it would distract me from everything else. And it worked. So I'm there. Now I've got my orange pen ready to write down crow call. And out of the sky, there flew a goldfinch, a beautiful goldfinch that, even though it was close to the end of the summer, was still in its breeding plumage. And it landed right on the sunflower that was closest to me. And within 10 seconds, there were 5 more goldfinches. And within a minute, all of the goldfinches in the world were in my backyard, in my sunflower forest. Now, how many of you know what a goldfinch looks like? Oh, a lot, okay. And how many of you are from out of state? Okay, so the goldfinch is the Washington state bird, so definitely look for it. The male is this beautiful, bright lemon yellow. I mean, almost all the birds I can think of in North America that have yellow are it's sort of an olivey yellow on the warblers or a golden yellow, but the goldfinch is this neon vibrant lemon. And the males have this little black cap and beautiful dark black at the edge of their wings, pink bill and pink legs. Lovely, lovely bird. And then the females and the young that were born this year, and then the males as they molt into their autumn plumage, turn into this kind of quiet yellow-brown. And people call it drab, but it's not drab, it's just quiet. So now they're all over my yard. And what was wonderful to me in that moment was that, I had been sitting in this very place yesterday. I had been out there for a couple of hours that morning. And it wasn't until this hour, this moment actually, that the seeds of the sunflowers had ripened enough and become soft enough and emerged from the cases of the round middle of these flowers to be ready for harvest by these birds. So I love this. I love this wild knowing. You know, here I am sitting there, and beneath my seeing, beneath my hearing and knowing, this message rises from the earth and speaks to the birds who arrive, and they're there. It's a wild knowing. And I love this. It's a kind of an in-between knowledge. It's between the everyday, the usual way of seeing and knowing on the surface, and what is hidden and what is secret. But it's knowledge that we have access to if we pay attention to the natural world and what the creatures in the natural world are leading us to. And this kind of knowledge, I think, is more important today, this day, for all of you. It remains important always, but for all of you today, because of the questions that are framing this journey that you're on. Now, I'm hoping your question isn't, especially now that you know you have to do this academic statement thing, I hope you're not going, oh my gosh, you know, I just hope I can live through these 4 years and get out of here and get a job and get on with my life. That's one way of looking at the first day of your academic journey. But what I'm hoping instead, and what I believe that the question for most of you is, what is my unique and distinctive life, my way of being in the world? How do I discover this? How do I occupy and inhabit this life? How do I find the gifts that reside there? How do I find ways of bringing those gifts into service to my own life and to the life of others and the world? These are the beautiful questions, and they're not everyday questions. They're not questions that we can answer with that surface level knowledge. We need that deeper knowledge that we can gain from grounding and attunement and attention to a life outside of ourselves. I'm a little bit jealous of you because here you are facing several years where the main work of your life is to approach these questions with passion and having time to, you know, wander through them. And you have a forest of people whose own passion in life is to help you discover the passion in your life. I mean, it's a rare, rare time. Such a gift, such a gift. I was thinking about this when I was reading a book several months ago, and I don't remember much about that book, but one of the chapters opened with an epigram by a writer named Max Lucado, who I actually don't know very much about. And I'm sorry about this. I don't usually like to take a quote, you know, out of context and not know much about it. But I'm going to do that now because it's just these words themselves, standing alone, that struck me. The line was, "Walker, there is no road. Walker, there is no road." And it struck me so deeply because I thought, wow, it's talking right at me and you and all of us, isn't it? Walker, that's us, the person on the journey that's seeking, that's wandering through these life questions. And yet it hits us right after that. Walker, I mean, because a walker is supposed to be on a road or something, right? There isn't one. There isn't one. You have to create it yourself. And the way that road, that path looks is as different and individual and fraught with beauty and ideas and complexity as everyone here. And there's one thing I know, and that's no matter what your ancestry is, no matter where your ancestries lived on this earth, there are stories in the mythology of your ancestors about the peril of just walking the path that is given instead of finding your own. In the Western tradition, we see that in the Arthurian legends. I don't know if you guys have read the stories of King Arthur and the knights. There's lots of versions, really fun. But one of the things that eventually happens is that the knights set out to search for the Holy Grail. And that, of course, is that true thing, that thing, that place, that true place that our heart interacts with the world, the Grail, the chalice. So off they go on their horses, and so many of them hear these callings from the side of the road, like some strange person who says, you can ask me any question you want if you just will. You know, songs and lights and dark places that look fascinating and full of peril but promise. And instead of following, the knights on their horses just go, oh, but my horse doesn't want to go that way. You know, this path is already here and it's easier. And so off they go. And what happens? In years they come wandering back, meandering back to the castle. Of course, they have no grail. But worse than that, they have a dazed look on their face. And they don't remember why they set off in the first place. They don't even remember what the quest was. And we all know these people, I think. Sometimes they're the people that we love and maybe even admire the most, who later in life are just kind of going, gosh, there was that thing I thought that I might have wanted to explore, and yet, oh no, how did it happen that I'm here instead? There are perils of just taking the path that's given. And it's not the peril of death and danger and getting attacked by wolves, it's the danger of boredom. And if there's one thing I know, having been a writer for this long, it's that normalcy is the enemy of creativity. And when I was writing this, or at the beginning of this talk, when I was thanking you all for reading Crow Planet, I was going to say, and I'm going to say it now, I want us to especially thank those of you who didn't like it. And I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but I know, or I hope you're out there. I hope you're out there. Because I have a lot of friends who are writers and other creative people who make their lives creatively. And when I say creative, I don't just mean the visual arts and painting and singing, but also the creative work of science and computer science and engineering and mathematics. All lives lived artfully are creative. So I have all these creative people that I know, my friends, and what we've figured out is that, and we keep learning it and forgetting and learning it again, is that if you write something or sing something or dance something or publish something in a scientific journal and everybody likes it, it's boring. It's boring, probably. And I've sat around seminar tables and book club groups, and you're going to be sitting around tables in the coming years, and your professor has had you all read the same book. And think about it. You're sitting there, and you go around to share your initial impressions, and they're, oh, yeah, I liked it. Nice. It was nice. What about you? Fine. Yeah, that's good. Good. Where do you go from there? At other seminar tables, you'll sit around, and I hope with those well-reasoned arguments that Michael Zimmerman was talking about, you will say, I loved this book. It spoke to me. The author said something that I've always had in my heart but didn't know how to speak, and I will carry this book with me always. And the person across the table will, in a well-reasoned way, say, are you nuts? This book was, the author annoyed me. I wanted to throw the book across the room, and eventually I did. And this was such a waste of my time. What table do you want to sit at? That is the table I want to be sitting at. That is the conversation that brings our intellect to life and makes meaning in the world. And that is the table that I want my book to be being discussed at. Absolutely. And that's where we want our work to lie. It's hard though, isn't it? Because, I wanted to mention though, this is something that you guys all know. When I say normalcy is the enemy of the creative, I haven't met very many of you, but I know this is something that you at least already have an idea of. And I know that because you're here. You're at this crazy school where you don't have a traditional major, you don't have grades, your mascot is a gooey duck, a gooey duck, which means you know how to spell gooey duck. Nobody knows how to spell gooey duck. They think it starts with gooey. So it's not true. So here you have a great head start, a great head start in all of this. But it's not always easy, is it? Because once we get out of here in the everyday life, I had a psychology professor that called it the overculture, the sort of everyday way of being in the world that we're all sort of, society is anxious to herd us into that center. This image keeps popping into my head. I actually wasn't going to mention it, but I have a tree in my neighborhood. And it's one of those trees that I think it used to be in a previous life a juniper, but now it's got these little branches, and on the end of each branch is this round tuft that's perfect. It looks like it's a Dr. Seuss tree. And my husband's so mean. We go for walks, and he takes pictures of it and puts them on Instagram, and it's mean because someone's really worked hard on this tree, and he's making fun of it. Which isn't nice, but we'll go for a walk, and all of a sudden, since our last walk, these little pieces have crept out of the round, perfect tree, and I think, oh no, this is not going to be allowed to stand. We'll come back a day or two later, and they've been snipped off. And we will find in life, efforts to prune us back, herd us into that middle. I have a friend, Lou, who is an arborist, and he's worked for the University of Washington Arboretum, and he's really wonderful, artful arborist, and he teaches these classes in tree pruning. And one of the things that he always does at the beginning of the class is he'll gather everybody around a young tree. Let's just say it's a maple sapling, and he'll take his chalk and he'll mark it, like there. With his chalk, he'll mark it low on the trunk, and then he'll make a mark on the branch, and he'll say, okay, so this tree, and I'm just making this up. I don't know how fast a maple tree grows, but he'll say, okay, this tree grows 4 inches a year in the trunk, and its branches spread 8 inches every year. So in 20 years, where will these marks be? So everybody in the class dutifully does the math, and some brave person comes up and says, well, the mark will be, up to here in 20 years, and the branches will be out to here. The branch mark will be, way over there. And are they right? No, it's a trick question, right? It's a trick question because the marks will be in exactly the same place. Trees grow from the edges. Trees grow from the edges, as do flowers and branches, and the creative, artistic, life-changing, culture-changing ideas and actions in our lives. They take place from the edges. And you are in such a beautiful place in the coming year to observe that metaphor in action, not just in the way that you work and create, but in this beautiful setting that you're in. I was looking in the walk out here, and I saw that quintessential tree, the Douglas fir. Our state tree is the western hemlock, another beautiful evergreen conifer. I'm sure they're on your grounds out here. And what's wonderful about these two trees in particular is that even though now all the needles, and as we come into winter, the needles are all green, in the spring, that new growth is so soft and so frail and vivid and fragrant, and it makes the whole tree grow. And when I think of creation, I think that's where we want to be, the glowing edge of the tree spreading out. One of the reasons I think it's so hard, that kind of being pushed to the center, is that so often it comes from the people that we love the most. Isn't that true? The people that love us and care about what happens to us, they are the ones who are worried about us getting hurt. And they're worried about us getting criticized. And so they'll say, honey, you know, that's been done before by someone else. I don't think maybe you could think of something that, you know, that you can excel at a little bit more. Do you have the resources to do that? Do you have the credentials to do that? Sweetie, you can't go out dressed like that. You're a boy. Girls don't talk like that. That's not really language that women use. And these are the people that we love. So imagine when you put your creative work out there that's a little bit different and edgy. Imagine what the people that don't care about you are going to say. Creative life is a roller derby. This path that you're walking, your own path, it's a roller derby, and it's hard. It's hard to stay centered in that place where you see what you see and you know what you know, those moments of clarity. So when I was writing Crow Planet, I wrote about a lot of really personal things. And at the very beginning, if you at least are at the beginning, you know that I talk about my own depression. I was struggling with that and coming out of that, and how the crow actually got me out of bed and sort of got me onto a different, more healing path. But I never intended for that to be part of the finished book. I really didn't. I thought that it was too personal and maybe whiny, and everyone would say, well, this is supposed to be a book about crows. Why is she talking about walking around in her pink pajamas and all this stuff? So I wrote it as my way into the material, just to sort of find my footing. And I went ahead and sent it to my editor in New York because I really like her. And I just said, Tracy, here's what I'm working on. I'll send you the real thing in a couple of weeks. And so I did. I wrote this. The next version was much more normal. And it was way more about crows. And I sent it to Tracy, and she said, yeah, I think you're right. I like what you wrote the first time, but this is more, safer. And that's actually the word she used. It's safer. We're not going to get that kind of, person on Amazon who lives in their mom's basement and eats only top ramen and wears slippers all day saying, I didn't like it. Some of them are probably very nice. So then I went on in this vein. My editor called in a couple of days and she said, Lyanda, put it back. Just put it back. It's the soul of the book. And I thought, you know what? She's right. We're going to open ourselves up to more criticism, to more love. Both those things were true. But it's the soul. This is what my work in life, my path, my center, the answer to all those questions for me is helping people, or cultivating an understanding between our everyday, normal, messy, personal life and grounding and sustenance in the natural world and the way of knowing that we find there. So yes, it went back in the book. But those kinds of moments come up all the time. So how do we keep the center? How do we keep those moments of clarity when we do know what we know, when we get underneath the everyday way of seeing, and we're invited into that natural, more than human world, where we are shown, not by our own logic and intellect, but by the creatures and the rhythms of life among us, who show us when to be still, when to silent, when to sing, when to spread your wings, when to sit still and stay, and when to leave and to fly. How? I want to say that we get to start over as many times as we need to. Sometimes we have so much anxiety about these choices that we make because we think, oh my gosh, it's my whole life, I have to, but we don't. We can choose, again. We can start over. I spent a year of my book on a life that's in a drawer because it was wrong. I could just tell. And it was a great heartache to realize that it was a mess, but it was. And start over. It's hard. You cry. Go on. This can happen in, the middle of our day. We realize we're having a cruddy day. Instead of writing off, we can start it over again. So you can do it from the day level to the paper level to the relationship. And we can always start over. I'm just saying every little decision doesn't have to be paralyzing. But one of the things that can help us find that right way is a practice that I want to recommend in addition to the big paper and going outside. And I hate to recommend a particular practice because there are so many traditional things that people do to keep centered and keep sane, yoga and contemplation and meditation and whatever it is you do that can work for you. But I feel so strongly about this that I'm going to go ahead and recommend the daily practice of finding a place in the natural world that you visit every day. And by the natural world, I mean just somewhere right outside your door here. You're so fortunate to be in a place where you can find a tree, a spot that becomes your own. And I'm going to suggest that you visit it every single day, no matter what the weather, for 5 minutes or 10 or an hour if you can, with nothing at all, nothing technological, nothing, not even if you must have a pencil and a paper, maybe, but just nothing. To just sit down and find yourself with nothing to do but being attentive to the more than human world. One of the benefits of it being the same place over and over again is that the animals, you have deer on your campus, you have native Douglas squirrels, you have migratory birds, but you also have resident birds that are always here, and they're the same ones day after day, and they'll get accustomed to you sitting there and be more comfortable and open in your presence. So the things that you'll be able to see will be wondrous. And these will give you that constant sense that we live in an astonishing universe, moment by moment, one that deserves our best attention, our best lives, our best and deepest passion and service. And these are all the things that I wish for you as you begin your path on this academic journey. And I wish you danger, challenge, wisdom, and really the joys and delights of paying attention and keeping your eyes open. Thank you so much for having me. Congratulations. And I think I'm supposed to say, go Gooey Ducks. Right? You want me to sit here?
Yep.
Okay. Here.
All right, we have a few moments to take some questions. Now we have a microphone here, one right there, and one back there. 1, 2, 3. So we'll take questions. Raise your hand, please, and I'll identify you. Come up to a mic and ask your question. Yes.
My name is Spencer Hubbard. I'm a freshman, and I really enjoyed the bit about the mythology of the crow and especially the meditations on death. I was wondering, did you ever experience any of those meditations on death or any other in particular statements or quotes or any works? Also like the thing about the monk who reads, you have one book, you read it all alone by yourself, and you're supposed to accept it into your life. I forget what it is. Did you ever do any of those personally? What was the last part you said? Sorry, there's an echo, so it's a little hard. There was a bit about a monk who wrote about how you select a book. I forget what the book's and you read it alone by yourself, and you kind of meditate on it. Did you ever do that while writing it? This book or anything else?
So that's something I always do, like the practice of in the monasteries, they call it Lectio Divina, where you just take a book and you just read it very slowly. And I always have, a beautiful book that I read in that way, alongside I'm actually reading Harry Potter right now. Book 4. I read it before, but my daughter is making me do it again. So that I feel like I'm 12 and I'm in bed at night. I'm under the covers with the flashlight, just turning the pages. And Cedric Diggory just died, and so that's the opposite. I know. Sad every time. So the opposite. I have another book that I read slowly like that, and I think slowing down, tied in with the question of death, is really an interesting one. I do think that just slowing down to the pace of life the pace of attention inevitably invites us into those bigger questions.
Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Will Smyer, and I'm from Oakland, California. I was wondering, how would you differentiate the natural and unnatural world?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a hard question because there are people that come at it from two different ways. And people say, okay, and I think I talk about this in this book and talk about it in a lot of my work. There are people that say that once something is man-made or touched by something human-made, that it's not natural. Natural means the absence of human presence and influence. And I would argue that now, if that's your definition, then there's no nature anywhere. Because we know through climate change and the way that the pesticides have spread through the weather cycle, that there is, and pollution in the aquifers into the areas of the earth that we can't reach. We know that there is no place that's untouched by us. So unless we want to have a definition of a world where there's nothing natural and nothing wild at all, we have to be a little bit open. However, then there's people that say that everything's natural because, well, if we're part of nature and we made it, then it's natural, which gives us license to just about do whatever we want and call it nature, right? And I think that we can use more, I think that's a straw man argument, and we can use more common sense and have an understanding that that maybe there's no exactly black and white definition, that there's no line where we can say now we're in nature and now we're not. But when I talk about it, as I did in my talk today and in my book, the colloquial understanding is that when you're in it, you know it. When we go outside, we can say to one another, I need some time in nature, and we know exactly what we mean. If we live in an apartment in the middle of the city, that might mean we're going to go sit in the city park under a tree, and we call that the natural. So I think that connecting with something that is more than human, beyond our making, outside of ourselves, is a starting definition. But I also think the definition changes depending on what whether you're scientific or literary use and what the context is. So how's that for a mushy answer? But that's really what I think. Thank you.
My name is Sean Williams, and I'm a music professor here at Evergreen. And there's so much in your book that deals with attentiveness and paying attention. And I'm curious about your thoughts about paying attention with your eyes closed.
Oh, yeah. Did you say you're in music?
Yes.
Okay. So are you a musician?
Yes.
What do you play? Can I ask?
I play more than 30 instruments.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, yeah. So I bet you tried this. I mean, one of the things that I do, I'm not a very good musician, but my daughter is, and both of us, whether we're playing a string instrument or piano, which I guess officially is a string instrument, I better be careful what I say to the music professor. When we get stuck, or when my daughter gets stuck in her practicing, I recommend, as my instructors have recommended, playing it with your eyes closed, right? And yeah, I think when we put a shutter on everything that's coming in through our vision, because we're so visually oriented, there's another dimension of knowing and seeing with your inner eye and with your inner ears, that's completely different and of tremendous value. And if you are a musician, I think that is a way into that understanding. I mean, you think, well, how I'll make more mistakes, but you don't. Instead, you bring out this sound that carries an emotion and a expression that you didn't know you had, and you can hear that in the world with your eyes closed. This is wonderful. I absolutely believe in that. Yeah. So I hope that when you all enact, which I'm sure you're all going to, this practice of sitting every day in the same place, try a day with your eyes completely closed. Thank you.
Excuse me. I have a question about one of your sentences you used in this your little book here.
I'm scared.
Just, no, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, just, I murmured sweet nothings into the velvety golden ears of our Jersey cow and led her about by rope barefoot, listening to her bell tinkle. I just wanted to know, were you joking or do you really fantasize about that?
Oh. I really fantasize about that. I want a cow so bad. Yes, it's true. I don't think I'll ever have a cow. I have chickens, so that's my cow outlet. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Eric Godwin, and I just have a question about how you integrate your more personal feelings into your book, because I am a bit of a creative writer, just a little bit, and I like to draw a lot. So I just have a question of how you got over that fear of putting your personal beliefs and emotions into your literary arts.
Oh, thank you. I have not gotten over it. I will never get over it. And I don't know any writers that are honest that have. And if there are some, we're not friends. I will never get over that. You know, I was writing my last book, and I was writing this chapter about coyotes, and an animal that I really love and I think is so complicated, and I was pouring a lot into this chapter. And I thought, you know what, I have to go backward and kind of touch base with kind of the general feeling about coyotes out there in the world. And so I looked at, even in Seattle, which is pretty kind of eco-la-la, I looked on the wildlife blogs, and people, oh my gosh, the anti-coyote sentiment was so high and so mean and so popular. Normal. That was and so I looked at this chapter and I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to hate this. This is too out there. It's crazy. And so I rewrote it. It was worse than the chapter about the depression in Crow Planet that I talked about. I just had this fear of no one would read this book, and critics will. So I rewrote it, and at the end of the day, I looked at it and I thought, okay, this is a good chapter. No one is going to hate this chapter. You know, job well done. And I got up in the morning and I read it, and I just cracked up. This is so awful. I mean, the sentences were fine, but it was so boring that I printed it out just so I could have the ritual of tearing it up, and which I know is wasteful, and I recycled it and all. But no, I don't. I mean, it's just what I said in here, that we need to commit to an artful life in spite of the fear, and there's no one way to do that other than just love of your subject, passion for your subject. That's the only way. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Maddie, right over here.
Where?
So when I read the book, you mentioned a lot that you yourself sorry. That you yourself are observing a crow and that you want to go out of your comfort zone, but I was also wondering if you had this imagery of you yourself as a bird being caged in, observing a bird that's telling you to get out of your comfort zone.
So, okay. Sorry, I missed the very first. So what the question is?
Have you had an imagery of you yourself being a bird, not just a crow, but being caged in, not allowing to go out even though you want to?
So not wanting to go out even though I want to.
Like if that was your imagery in the book, basically.
Oh. Yeah. I think that there are definitely days when, one thing that I definitely do is I don't make myself always, go out and go past my comfort zone. Sometimes I just hole up I go back to bed in my pink pajamas with a cup of tea and pull the shades so I don't have to look or think about anything and go back when I'm ready. And sometimes I think that even though I talk about the value of being outdoors and pushing that awareness, one of the things that I think, and coming in winter, it's more possible, is that sometimes cozying down and hibernating is a way of responding to that. It's what all of the other animals are doing. And so it's another kind of awareness that we're kind of in continuity, snuggled in with our blanket and our tea. And I don't know if that exactly answers your question, but I just think there's all kinds of ways of finding our connection to that rhythm, and they're not always intrepid.
Hello, my name's Micah Celine. I'm from Santa Cruz, California, and might I just say, I love your book so much. It's, like in the first part where you talk about John Marslough's special experiment where they use the crow recognition, I actually heard about that from that documentary, Murder of Crows, and I was just blown away that you would talk about that, because it's incredible hearing about that. And my question is, just from seeing what crows can do, would you say that animals are actually a lot more advanced than us?
Are they more advanced than us? Well, no, I would not say that. Look at us here. We have art. We have more advanced language than any animal that we know of. So no, would I say more advanced? But more advanced in some ways. Many animals are more advanced in some ways than we are. Dolphins and elephants, we know, have a deep emotional literacy. A lot of animals are tuned into magnetic fields, spatial relationships, things that we cannot accomplish with our brains and our bodies. And more advanced than us might not necessarily be the question. I sort of like to look at animal intelligence and consciousness without a yardstick. And because usually when we measure animal intelligence, the yardstick is us, right? How do they measure compared to the way we do things and the way we understand things? But if we take animals on their own and their own unique intelligence and consciousness, we can find things that we might never have dreamed of. So more advanced than us, maybe instead just advanced in their own unique ways, beyond what we had imagined.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Paulie. I'm from Pennsylvania. I really liked the dying section, which kind of sounds dark, but I just like the idea of it. My big question is, since crows are scavengers, they eat like dead animals and people. What would you think? What would you say would be like the general opinion when they would see a crow, eating, something that's dead, and that would be different from yours.
What is the main opinion of people when they see them eating the dead thing that's different from mine?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, first, I think it's funny. I think it's interesting, the existential angst of your generation. Everybody said, I like the death chapter. It's great. Yeah, I like the death chapter too. Yeah, I think a lot of people are really disgusted when they see crows eating dead stuff, especially in urban places, which is where we see them, because they're eating other animals often that we really don't like. Like, did I talk about it in the book when this crow brought a rat to my backyard? It was so ratty, and I just thought, I'm gonna wait for Tom to get home. So, honey, a little job for you in the backyard. And by the time he got home, the rat was just gone. And here was this vivid, shining red, dead, yucky rat. And I actually kind of like rats. They're interesting and smart. But I think I had that classic reaction was, oh my gosh, here's this disgusting bird with this disgusting animal, and it's carried it into my backyard. So sometimes I have to work on having the philosophical thoughts. And I can understand why, people associate crows with death, not just in the philosophical and mythological way, which they do, and filters into our art and our poetry, but just in the everyday level of angst and dislike. I think it's very common just to not take it any farther than that.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to take one more after that. We're near end, everyone. Thank you.
Coincidentally, my statement in question is also about the death chapter. But I really liked it because I noticed that there's a correlation between humans and crows, and they live really closely, and you said that in your book, and I liked it. And when you talked about the different, the meditation of the breaking down of the human body and how meaningful that really was, and it really kind of helped me because I've been struggling with the idea of dying, and not because I'm terminally ill or anything, but just because I'm human and I don't want to die. That chapter really kind of helped me to see it in a good way. As in a natural way, and it's kind of acceptance that we will all eventually die that kind of helps us to live full lives. And so I saw that in that book, and I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Put that really pretty.
Hi, my name is Robin, and this is too short. So you touched on, you didn't touch on, you talked about in your book why crows, but I was wondering why birds in the first place? Because it's very clear in your book that birds were always your thing. Mm-hmm. So what sparked that?
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good question, and I think it's hard for any of us to answer, because when you find something you love and that it speaks to you and draws you and you become obsessed with, it's usually not a choice, right? It's usually not an intellectual choice where you decide that you're going to do it. When I was young, my parents kept binoculars before anyone knew the word birder, kept binoculars in the good old golden guide to birds on the back counter. And it was such a refuge for me, no matter what else was going on in life, to just be able to sit out there quietly and to discover that the more quiet and more still I was, the more things would come close to me and more carefully I could observe them and be part of this world. It just stayed. And then finding that I could have the same subject that appealed to me aesthetically and maybe you could say spiritually, was also fascinating in terms of the science and the poetry and the history and the natural philosophy from the 19th century and earlier. All of those dimensions of it just drew me in. Loved all of it. So it was a way for me to explore, everything. So
thank you.
Thank you.
This is the last one. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Tom. I'm a student from California. And I was wondering, my question's a bit weird. A lot of people seem to really enjoy the death chapter, and they seem to feel like that's it resonates with them a lot. Do you think that's because of the way that crows have been viewed for so long in mythology and everything? And how does it feel to write something that resonates with people on such a wide level?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I actually, just hearing what I'm hearing here about the general group's interest in the death chapter, I'm starting to feel that that doesn't have to do with crows in particular. I do think that culturally, cross-culturally, as I talk about in the book, there's a connection between crows and death, and because of their role as scavengers in major part, and we find that in our literature and mythology and all different levels. But as far as right now, I'm kind of thinking, maybe there's something else going on. I haven't been in an audience that brings up the death chapter so much. I think maybe starting in a new phase of life, sort of like this cycle of life and death is coming to the fore in new ways, and it's worth exploring. And that chapter offered a framework to start thinking about it in a different way, an earthen way, not just a way of fear and the normal cultural associations we have with death. So I'm hoping maybe that's what's going on.
Thank you.
In addition to crows, eating dead things. Thank you. Thank you.
Everyone, let's thank Lyanda for this wonderful presentation, everyone. They love you. Now, you've agreed to sign some books, right? I think so, right. I think I'll let them know that.
Thank you so
Right.
much.
Oh, right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow.
Ah, the enthusiasm. I love it. Lyanda, we want to thank you for coming to Evergreen, and this is just a small token of our appreciation for you being a part of one of the most important events that we have every year, our Convocation. And from the students and the questions and your just intimate response and thoughtfulness is just so heartwarming and intellectually stimulating. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right. Oh, yeah. Now, Lyanda's agreed to sign books. I know you all have some, so we'll make arrangements back in the corner back there when we're finished to be able to form a line to have your book signed. We don't have a lot of traditions at the Evergreen State College over these 40 years, but year after year, new traditions emerge. But one of the traditions that we have, of course, is the opportunity for our students to learn the Geoduck Fight Song and the Alma Mater. And I want to invite up Marla Elliott, member of the faculty, to assist you in learning these wonderful songs. On the table are the songs. Please welcome Marla.
Let's see. Well, welcome. Could we just move this? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'll take that. Thank you. There we go. Hi. So we do need to learn the school songs now, and you better learn them now because your next formal opportunity to sing these may be a ways off. We are a low ritual college. We have two songs, the Alma Mater and the Geoduck Fight Song. The Alma Mater is a hymn to your school. You sing it when you're feeling particularly proud and connected to the college and proud of your connection to the college, and I hope you feel that now, and I hope you feel that for the rest of your life. So let's start with that. Actually, let's warm up just a little bit because we've been sitting for a long time. So if you would stand up, yawn, and stretch. yawning means you open your mouth. And in most social situations, you don't make much noise when you yawn, but when you get ready to sing, you need to yawn loudly, please. So let's do one more yawn and stretch and really make a big, rude yawn noise. That's better. Okay. Now, the noise that you make when you yawn is usually a kind of descending siren, right? So let's do that one more time and start a little higher than you normally would and slide slowly all the way down to the basement, right? 1, 2, 3, go. And now let's take a yawn siren that starts low and slides high. See if you can notice your voice, the feeling of your voice in your body. And when you get up to that high voice, don't worry about it, don't judge it, just sort of clean out the attic. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Great. Okay, have a seat. One last little warm-up thing. Move your face all around and make some monster faces and pirate faces. Just, got it? Are you doing it? No, come on. Move your face around. Stretch those faces. Okay. The alma mater is, you have to learn 2 Latin phrases. The first is omnia exta res. That last syllable, res, it's halfway between an e and an A. Can you all say omnia exta res? Great. The other Latin phrase is alma mater. Oh, very clear. You know what omnia exta res means? Usually translated, let it all hang out. You can also think of it as extend in all directions. Reach out with everything you've got everywhere. It's also a nice way to think about it, okay? So, and alma mater, what does alma mater mean? Alma means soul, mater means mother. Alma mater means soul mother. Your school is the mother of your soul. Okay. Let's go. That's a pretty good medium pitch. Listen first and then sing it back. Omnia exta res. Sing that back. Omnia exta res. And then we're going to go up a little bit and sing the same thing. Omnia exta res. And then we're going to go up further up and stair step down. Alma mater evergreen. Let's do that again. Alma mater evergreen. And then we're going to sing the first phrase again. Omnia exta res. Great, let's put that all together. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Omnia exta res. Omnia exta res. Alma mater evergreen. Omnia exta res. Great, now we're going to sing it as a round. All you people over there who are not sitting in the tables, you're group 1. We're going to sing it in 3 parts. All you people who are not sitting at tables around the back, you're group 2. All the people sitting at tables, you're group 3. Okay? And we're going to go through it a couple of times, and at the end I'm going to do that, and that's a sign to just keep singing the last phrase over and over until we're all singing it together. Ready? The few of the proud, group 1. 1, 2, ready, go. Omnia exta. Group 2. Omnia. Sing out like you love us. Group 3. Omnia again. On the other side. Group 2. On the other side. On the other Okay, now the Gooey Duck Fight song, which never uses the word fight. And we sing this to encourage our fellow students to greater heights of effort and achievement, right? Not just athletic, but all academic. So you can sing it to the, not only to the hacky sackers, but to the people writing literary research papers, and the people figuring out how to use the 3D printers, and everybody who needs a little encouragement in their academic work, and athletic work. Yes, actually, we have great athletics here at Evergreen. And the words are up on the wall over there as well as on your little yellow sheet of paper. So here we go. We're going to learn it slowly, and then we'll sing it up to tempo. So here's the first phrase. Go, gooey ducks, go. Sing that back. Go, gooey ducks, go. Second phrase. Through the mud and the sand, let's go. Through the mud and the sand, let's go. Siphon high, squirt it out, swivel all about. Here we go. Siphon high, squirt it out, swivel all about. Last phrase. Let it all hang out. Let it all hang out. Great. That you've learned the whole thing. That's the first half. In the second half, there's a different line in the different piece of lyric in the second line. And in the last phrase in the second half, instead of singing, let it all hang out, we sing, let it all hang out. Great, you want to sing that part? Here we go. Let it all hang out. Okay, you think we can put all this together now? There's your starting pitch. Here we go. Go, gooey ducks, go. Through the mud and the sand, let's go. Siphon high, squirt it out, swivel all about. Let it all hang out. Go, gooey ducks, go. Stretch your necks when the tide is low. Siphon high, squirt it out, swivel all about. Let it all hang out. Great, okay. Now we need to do this a little faster. We need to put it together a little up-tempo. And to really get the spirit in this song, you need to sing it as if you are the chorus of Mounties in the Monty Python Transvestite Lumberjack sketch. Do we know this? He's a lumberjack and he's okay, right? With that excessively cheerful, hyper-masculine bonhomie. Right, so you want to stand up. Put on your imaginary Mountie hat. And up tempo. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Go, gooey ducks, go. Through the mud and the sand, let's go. Stretch your necks when the tide is low. Sergeant High, squirty hat, swivel all about, let it all hang out, let it all hang out. Congratulations.
Yeah. One more time for Marla, everybody. I officially declare this year has begun, everyone. Now, one housekeeping bit of work. This afternoon in your seminars, they begin at 1 o'clock. There will be individuals that will hold their hand up, show you where to go for the 1 o'clock session. And at that session, they will direct you, the faculty will direct you to the 3 o'clock session. Some have been asking, where do I go at 3 o'clock? Go to your 1 o'clock, they'll tell you where to go at the 3 o'clock, okay? Pretty straightforward. Welcome to Evergreen, everyone. Thank you for being here.